Dylan Gabriel just lit the fuse on one of the most talked about post-game interviews of the season. And now, fans aren't just pointing fingers, they're demanding answers. After a performance that left everyone scratching their heads, from the blown drives to the awkward press conference energy, things are spiraling fast. But the most shocking part? It's not just about bad stats or tough play calls. There's now real talk that Gabriel might be getting pushed out, and some insiders think Shedeur Sanders was always part of the plan. But before we get into all that, how did a once promising QB end up here? Let's break down what really happened on that field, and why this might only be the beginning of something much bigger. Just a few months ago, Dylan Gabriel was being talked about as one of the more intriguing quarterbacks to watch. The veteran experience, the big arm, the mobility, on paper, he had everything a team would want in a leader under center. After a solid college career, expectations were sky high. He wasn't just some rookie thrown into the fire. Gabriel was supposed to be the guy who could hold it down, bring maturity to the offense, and guide this team through the learning curve of a system in transition. But fast forward to now, and things look nothing like what fans were hoping for. Week after week, a pattern started to emerge, and not in a good way. Inconsistency, misfires, and a total lack of rhythm. The offense never seemed to fully click. Sure, the occasional highlight play showed flashes of what he could be, but there was always something missing. Missed reads, footwork that felt rushed, drives that got rolling, only to collapse with a penalty or busted protection. And now, after this latest performance, fans are starting to wonder if the problem runs deeper than just a slow start. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because it's not just the media asking questions anymore. Gabriel's own post-game press conference made it clear that he feels the pressure, even if he's trying to keep it cool on camera. He acknowledged the execution issues. He admitted the team's struggles to stay in rhythm. But underneath the answers, there was something else, almost like he knows his window, as QB1 is shrinking faster than anyone expected. All of this is swirling around a guy who was supposed to bring stability, not drama, to the position, and that's where the whispers start getting louder. Because with every rough outing, every stalled drive, and every post-game quote that's just a little too vague, more and more people are asking the same thing. Is Dylan Gabriel really the answer? Or was he just the bridge to someone bigger? And whether people want to admit it or not, that someone might already be standing on the sideline. Shedeur Sanders, Coach Prime's son, the future face of whatever rebuild this team believes it's building. And if Gabriel knows that whether he'll say it or not, then this whole situation starts to feel a little bit different. The hype is fading, the pressure is mounting, and for Dylan Gabriel, the spotlight is no longer about upside, it's about survival. If Dylan Gabriel was already under pressure heading into this matchup, what happened on the field only made things worse, a lot worse. Because this wasn't just a loss, this was the kind of collapse that makes headlines and has fans calling for changes. From the very first drive, something just felt off. The timing, the protection, the energy, all flat. Gabriel looked hesitant, the offense was out of sync, and the mistakes started piling up fast. And yet, somehow, the worst part wasn't even how they played. It was who they lost to. Let's talk numbers for a second and try not to scream. Gabriel finished the game 17 for 32. That's just barely over 50% completion. He threw for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns, which might sound manageable on paper, but the eye test was brutal. Overthrows, missed reads, zero consistency. He was also sacked 6 times, and you could just see it wearing on him. The pocket collapsed, sure, but Gabriel wasn't exactly moving with confidence either. Now, here's where it goes from bad to flat-out embarrassing. The team lost to the Jets, who only managed 169 total yards of offense. Let that sink in. The opposing team couldn't even crack 200 yards with just 42 of those yards coming through the air and still managed to win. They beat Dylan Gabriel's squad while barely functioning on offense themselves. That's not just a loss. That's a breakdown at every level. And fans? They noticed. Hardcore, casual, doesn't matter, the comments lit up immediately. Gabriel isn't the guy. Bench him now. Why is he still starting? This went viral fast, not because of a big mistake, but because of the sheer absurdity of how this game played out. And to make it even worse, people tried to blame the defense. That's always the first move, right? Oh, it wasn't on Gabriel, it was the penalties, the coaching. But the truth is, you can't pin this mess on just one issue. The defense actually held the Jets to almost nothing all day. The offense had everything in front of them and just couldn't make it happen. this game changed the narrative. Before, people were disappointed in Gabriel, but still hopeful. They figured it would click eventually. But this game, it made people realize maybe it's not going to. And it didn't help that after the game, Gabriel gave one of the most awkward, uncertain press conferences of his career. He kept using words like execution and balance, but it felt forced, like someone trying to convince themselves that everything's fine, when it clearly isn't. And when a reporter finally asked about the possibility of change and whether he worries about being replaced, that was the moment the room got quiet. It's clear now. Things aren't just slipping, they're unraveling. Slowly, publicly, and in real time. And the pressure? It's only going to get worse from here. After that brutal loss, the floodgates officially opened. And Dylan Gabriel is catching heat from every direction. Fans, analysts, even former players, everyone's got something to say. And one thing is clear, the grace period is over. It's not about being patient anymore. It's about results, and Gabriel simply isn't delivering. For weeks, people tried to stay optimistic. He just needs time to adjust. New system, new play caller, give it a few games. But when your team loses to a backup-led Jets squad with 42 passing yards and you're the quarterback, the excuses start to sound real thin, real fast. And Gabriel's latest performance? It felt like the final straw. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit pick a platform. The fan base erupted. Some dropped sarcastic reactions, clowning the press conference clips and memeing every awkward soundbite. Others posted full breakdowns showing how his reads were late, how the pocket presence vanished, and how plays that should have been simple checkdowns turned into drive killers. One fan wrote, "We're not asking Gabriel to be Mahomes, we're just asking him to act like he still wants this job." Another replied, "This dude plays like he's afraid of his own offensive line." And sure, some folks tried to shift blame onto the defense or the offensive line, but even those voices are getting drowned out now. Because, yeah, the O-line gave up 6 sacks. But 6 sacks don't explain every missed opportunity. The uncomfortable truth is, when the game was on the line, Gabriel didn't step up, and the fans noticed. But here's where it gets really complicated. Gabriel tried to take accountability. In the press conference, he said things like, "Execution starts with me. We had momentum, but didn't finish. We've got to create consistency." Sounds good on paper, right? But listen closely, and it starts to feel like a script. The same kind of vague, recycled lines you hear when athletes are just trying to get through the media cycle without saying too much. That's the part that's rubbing fans the wrong way. They don't want polished answers, they want fire, anger, urgency, something that shows he understands the weight of what's happening. But instead, Gabriel kept everything safe and sterile, stoic, detached, like a guy who knows the cameras are rolling but doesn't know what to say anymore. And that disconnect? That's what makes this situation feel different now. It's not just about whether Gabriel is underperforming, it's about whether he still believes he's the guy. Because based on the reaction, the fans aren't convinced anymore. And if he doesn't flip the script fast, that decision might get made for him. And what's coming next might not even be up to Gabriel at all. When a quarterback takes a tough loss, the press conference isn't just a formality, it's a mirror. And in Dylan Gabriel's case, that post-game Q&A said more than most people realized. At first glance, he looked calm, almost too calm. No raised voice, no visible anger, no sense of urgency. Just carefully filtered answers, quick nods, and that slightly dazed stare you get when you're trying to keep it together under pressure. But underneath it, you could feel the tension, the uncertainty. Like a guy trying not to say the wrong thing because deep down he knows the spotlight's getting hotter with every snap. From the second the questions started rolling in, something felt off. Early on, he was asked what changed with Tommy calling the plays instead of Kevin. Seems like a softball, right? A chance to shift blame or highlight a new direction. But Gabriel's response? I think it had great flow. There's a lot we can improve on. But it felt good going into it. Felt good? They lost to a team that couldn't even throw for 50 yards. Saying it felt good just made things worse. Then came the discussion around execution. Classic line, the one every QB falls back on. But Gabriel doubled down on it over and over. There are things I could have done better. It starts with me. It's always frustrating when it's not going your way. You put in the work, but crucial moments, you gotta have it. He kept repeating it, like he was hoping if he said it enough, it'd land. But fans weren't buying it, because while he was saying all the right cliches, his energy said something else, like he didn't feel in control anymore. Not of the team, not of the offense, and maybe not even of his own confidence. Things got even more awkward when someone brought up the sacks, 6 of them, to be exact. Gabriel admitted he didn't want to take those and said he needed to find a safe place to dish it. But again, no accountability, no edge, just generalizations. For someone who's supposed to be leading the locker room, it sounded like a man explaining losses, not owning them. And fans picked up on that immediately. But the turning point was this. One reporter asked about Shedeur Sanders, not directly, but enough to draw a reaction. Do you find yourself ever looking over your shoulder, wondering when they're going to turn this thing over to Shedeur? That silence said it all. Gabriel didn't deny it outright. He didn't even get defensive. He just gave the quietest response of the night. All I can do is control what I can. That's all you got. That moment broke the internet. It wasn't just a media-trained answer, it was a quiet admission that the rumors are real, that the idea of being replaced isn't just some fan fiction in a Reddit thread, it's walking the halls now, probably wearing number 2, probably waiting patiently. And just like that, the vibe around Gabriel shifted. He's no longer the guy fans think needs more time, he's the one they fear is out of time. When teams start spiraling, the first move is almost always the same. Change the voice in the headset. New play caller, new message, new momentum. And that's exactly what this team did. Kevin hands over the reins, and suddenly Tommy is dialing up plays, hoping to shake the offense back to life. But here's the thing, it didn't change a thing. All week, the talk was that Tommy's play calling would inject energy into a stagnant offense. And to be fair, early on there were flashes of creativity, some rollout designs, new formations, tweaks to protection. It looked like they were trying to get Dylan Gabriel moving, make things simpler, give him room to breathe and work. But the results? Still flat. Gabriel said afterward that the flow felt good, and that communication was solid. It was like practice, he said. Which might be the most unintentionally revealing quote of the entire week. Because this wasn't practice. This was a real game, in front of real fans, with real expectations. And if your game day operation feels like practice, there's a massive problem. Tommy might have had a clean headset, but the offense still looked disconnected. Mistimed snaps, personnel confusion, blown protections, all things that are supposed to improve with a new play caller. Instead, they just showed up in new ways. And Gabriel? He looked just as lost under Tommy as he did before. Maybe even more. He got sacked 6 times, and not all of those were on the offensive line. Some were delayed decisions. Others were a clear lack of awareness. It was like the responsibility actually increased, and Gabriel just couldn't keep up. The pressure was coming faster, the reads were crashing in on him, and it showed. You could see it in the hesitation. You could hear it in the post-game interviews when he said, "There's a chance I could have slipped through, but I didn't." That kind of quote matters. It shows you the internal doubt. The moment when instinct breaks down and the mental clock freezes, quarterbacks can't afford that. Especially not when there's another QB with star potential sitting one meeting room away. And while the change at coordinator was supposed to offer structure, what it really exposed was just how fragmented the offense has become. One guy's calling the plays, another guy's trying to survive them, and nobody seems fully in charge. That's the scary part. You can swap play callers all you want, but if the quarterback doesn't believe in the system or in himself, then nothing else matters. So the question now isn't just about who's calling the plays. It's who they're calling them for, and for how much longer. Let's not dance around it. The name everyone's been waiting for finally leaked into the conversation. You heard it in the presser. You've seen it all over fan pages in sports, Twitter. The whispers aren't whispers anymore. People are starting to say it out loud. Is it Shedur's time? That single question changes the entire temperature around Dylan Gabriel's situation, and for good reason, because this isn't just some random 5-star backup waiting for a shot. This is Shedeur Sanders, highly touted, insanely hyped, and strategically placed in the wings, coached by his own father, and reportedly eyeing a transition to the NFL-ready stage. And suddenly, all those cryptic coaching decisions that didn't quite make sense, they're starting to look more like a plan. It wasn't just the play-calling shift. It was the timing, the tone, the way Gabriel's quotes felt filtered, the subtle body language, the stick-with-him vote of confidence from coaches that sounded more like a warning shot than a full endorsement. And then came the question, the one that every beat reporter wanted to ask but didn't dare to, until someone finally said it. Do you find yourself ever looking over your shoulder, knowing they might hand this thing over to Shedeur? Gabriel's answer? He didn't push back. He didn't get defensive or even try to shut it down. All I can do is control what I can. Read between the lines. That's not confidence. That's resignation. You don't say that if your job is secure. You say that when you already know the runway is running out. You say it when there's a spotlight burning behind you, and you can feel someone standing at the edge of the tunnel, helmet in hand, waiting for their moment. And here's the thing for a lot of fans, it's not a bad idea. Because Shedeur isn't just an athletic upgrade, he represents full control of the narrative, a fresh start, Prime's choice, the future, and even though he hasn't taken a snap yet in this system, the belief is that he doesn't need time, he just needs the opportunity. It's been said behind closed doors, it's been whispered on team flights. Shedeur's the guy. We're just waiting for the right time to unleash him. The only thing stopping that from happening was Dylan Gabriel, and unfortunately, his performance just gave them an open door. So now, every snap counts. Every game feels like an audition, and if Gabriel slips again or even hesitates, it might finally be showtime for Shedeur. And when that happens, there's no going back. By now, the headlines paint a clear picture. Dylan Gabriel is slipping. He's underperforming, rattled, and possibly one snap away from being replaced. But here's the twist. Not everyone agrees it's entirely his fault. Take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and things start to get more complicated. Yes, the numbers are rough. The film doesn't lie. And Gabriel has absolutely missed key throws, collapsed under pressure, and shown all the signs of a quarterback losing grip on the offense. But is he falling apart as a player? Or did the system around him set him up to fail? Let's break it down. First off, that offensive line, completely unreliable. 6 sacks in a single game isn't just a stat, it's a warning sign. And while not every sack is their fault, enough of them fall on protection breakdowns to raise serious questions. Doesn't matter how good your arm is when the pocket keeps collapsing before the play even develops, you're playing a different kind of football. Then there's the coaching carousel. Switching play callers mid-season is a red flag by itself. It screams instability. Chemistry takes time to build, and Gabriel's had to adjust on the fly without any real offensive identity. First Kevin, now Tommy. New terminology, new signals, new rhythm, and all of that while being expected to deliver NFL-level execution under the spotlight. And let's not forget what Gabriel has done well, because believe it or not, it's not all been a disaster. That 95-yard touchdown drive? That was textbook execution. On that series, you saw it. Pocket presence, quick reads, efficient throws, even a little swagger. It's proof that under the right conditions, the guy can still play. The problem? Those moments are too rare and they get buried under all the 3 and outs, penalties, missed protections, and late game panic. So now, fans are split. Some scream that the game has passed Gabriel by, that he's lost the edge, lost the juice, and lost the locker room. Others argue he was never given a fair shot, and that even a Hall of Fame QB would struggle behind this offense. One insider on social media put it perfectly. You can't blame the pilot when the cockpit's on fire. This whole operation needs a reset, not just the QB. But here's the problem in football. The quarterback always goes first. Right or wrong, fair or not, the face of the offense takes the fall. And Gabriel? He knows that. You can hear it in every press conference, every quote, every pause. He's walking a tightrope, knowing that even if he's not the entire problem, he's still the easiest solution. So now we're watching a slow-motion collapse, not because Dylan Gabriel can't play, but because the circumstances around him are eating him alive, and the wolves are already circling, because while the system may be broken, Shedeur isn't sitting back forever. Dylan Gabriel came into this season as the trusted veteran, the steady hand, meant to lead a transitioning offense through chaos. But now, he's at the center of it. From shaky stat lines and fan backlash to awkward pressers and quiet confessions, Gabriel's grip on the starting job is slipping and everyone feels it. The team's making changes. The offense still lacks identity. And every week, the whispers around Shedeur Sanders grow louder. For a player who once had full command of the huddle, Gabriel's now fighting to prove he belongs at all. But here's where it gets tough to call. Is Dylan Gabriel just falling apart under pressure? Or has the system broken down around him so badly that any quarterback would crumble? One thing's clear, he's in an almost no-win situation. If he plays it safe, he's called scared. If he forces big moments, he's reckless. And meanwhile, a younger, faster, more exciting name is warming up right behind him with fans, coaches, and maybe even teammates wondering, how much longer are we waiting? Because eventually, development stops being an excuse. The system stops being the scapegoat. And all that's left is whether you're getting it done or you're not. Dylan Gabriel's next game won't just be judged by fans or film rooms, it'll be his biggest test yet, possibly his final one in that uniform. So now the question flips to you, the viewer. Has Dylan Gabriel been exposed as a QB who's not built to lead this team? Or is he simply being treated like the fall guy blamed for problems that were bubbling long before he took the field? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you're watching the story unfold, and don't forget to subscribe because something tells us this drama, it's just getting started.